Williamson, presented by AARP. I have two amazing women who will be here with me today, where we'll have conversations about how powerful our words really are. Hello and welcome. I am so honored to have these two amazing sisters in the studio with me today. And I decided I wanted to do something a little different. I do have their bios and resumes here in front of me, but I know that sometimes it is so hard for us to, as they say, toot our own horn. So I want to do something a little different. I want to have my amazing sisters that are here with me introduce themselves and tell the world a bit about them.
Wow.
Happen.
Wow.
I have been in the audience with Bishop. I've been in the audience with Kimberly has been introduced. And this is why I want to do something different, because I feel that it's something on their hearts that they want you to know that's not on the papers that I have. So Bishop, if we could start with you and you introduce yourself to everybody. And I know you all are not really introducing yourself, because millions of people already know exactly who you are.
Exactly.
But Bishop, if we could start with you.
Wow. We don't usually do this. We don't introduce ourselves and tell other people about who we are. And so I'm sitting here like, well, I'm Ida and Ed's second born. I'm the baby in the family. I'm a preacher. I'm a word woman, which means I love the word of God. I am an administrator, presider over the 10th Episcopal District of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I am a shepherd of shepherds, which is a little bit different from being a shepherd of sheep. It means I shepherd leaders, which is an exciting opportunity to do, as well as shepherding sheep. If everybody has a role to play in life, and you figure out what that is. And for me, my part of my divine purpose is to open doors for other people. So that's what I do. I open doors for other people so that they have an opportunity to go through. And so every time you preach, I'm opening a door. Every time I teach, I'm opening a door. Every time I'm training, I'm opening a door, whether that's in a corporate setting or in a congregational setting. Every time I write a book, it is opening a door. And I love the creative process. I love watching people blossom. I love watching people who are ground people discover their wings and start to fly. I love to see the quiet ones who don't believe they have something to say, then all of a sudden discover their voice and they speak. And so that's who I am. I am a door opener. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a lover of God.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I have to tell you, you and I and Kimberly know that would have never been on a piece of paper.
No.
You see, and so what we did is we just opened up a brand new conversation for people in order for them to feel good about introducing themselves and knowing that their words have power. And my sister Kimberly, I want you to share with the world your introduction of who you are in this earth and your gifts that God has given you in order to elevate and take it to a whole nother level in the kingdom.
Well, thank you for that. First of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here with you, Cheryl, and with you, Bishop McKenzie. And like you, I'm not used to, for the most part, when I'm being introduced, I'm always amazed thinking, wow, who are they talking about? You never want to necessarily say those particular things about yourself. And so I appreciate the opportunity to do that. But I am the eldest of 3 children. I have 2 younger brothers who are 6 and 8 years younger than me. And just last week, celebrated 30 years of marriage with my husband. So, those are personal parts of our lives that we don't necessarily hear in our bio. But I started my writing career not because I aspired to write books. And it ended up being that way when I was 30 years old and just really unhappy and miserable and changing jobs one after another and realizing that I was more focused on how much money I could make than I was about my purpose. And I just never thought about why did God truly place me on this earth to begin with. That just never was something that I thought much about. And so I was 30 years old when I sat down and wrote the first book. My hope was certainly to have a career in writing and to be published and to write a few more books. It never occurred to me that God would allow me to write 28 of them. And then now this year, my very first nonfiction title. So.
Yeah. And I am excited about it because you both are prolific writers. I have your book sitting right here next to me, and they have blessed my spirit. They have blessed me in times where I felt like, I'm alone in this, and I'll read a word that Bishop has said, or go back to a tape, because I have actually taped Bishop at different events, at the Women of Power Summit, at the Selah Conference. And that leads into my question that I want to ask both of you, and I want to start with you, Kimberla. How do you define effective communication? What does that look like for you?
So for me, it is really about spending a lot more time becoming a great listener. And so many times we are focused on what we're thinking, what our opinions are, what our ideas are. And I know I've been guilty of this in the past, and that's how I started to become much more aware of it and to do things differently. Many times when we are having a conversation with someone, we're already thinking about what we're going to say in response to what they're saying. We're just thinking about ourselves. And so I think we need to be much more genuine and have a lot more interest in what someone else is saying. And certainly if we're talking about an issue or a problem or we're having a disagreement, we want to communicate very quickly. We don't want it to fester. We don't want it to be a month from now or a year from now before we say, okay, let's get together with this person and communicate in a way that we need to solve whatever this problem is, and to just be more compassionate and to present with a much more pleasant tone than maybe, sometimes we do, but that can help communication as well.
Absolutely. And Bishop, what's your feeling about that? How do you define effective communication, and what does that look like?
Well, I agree with this powerful, prolific author. 28 books is amazing. And so congratulations. That is absolutely amazing. So congratulations. And I agree on the listening part and being effective in communication, where you don't want to have a lot of time to pass. You really want to say what you have to say. So for me, effective communication is when I can present a subject, a word, a conversation, a sermon, a thought in such a way that the other person is able to receive it, whether in its description, whether in analysis, whether it is adding data, but being able to share it in such a way that the other person's mind and heart is open to receive it. So I remember when I was in seminary, a seminary professor, homiletic professor is teaching us. And he said that when you leave here, after being in 3 years of seminaries, we have a whole lot of polysyllabic words, right? The eschatological realization of whatever. And so, these words, yes, and you know what they mean, and you know that their impact, but you're going to have to serve the word on a plate that the other person recognizes.
Yeah.
And so whether it's a tin plate, fine china, crockery, fancy with gold leaf, you have to serve it on a plate that the other person recognizes. Or you have to pour it into a cup where the other person can drink what you're trying to say, and it's recognizable for that person. So that means then when you communicate, you have to know your audience. You have to know who you're talking to. And knowing your audience will help you to present whatever you have to say in such a way that they're able to receive it.
Absolutely. And in knowing your audience, that leads into my next topic of conversation that I want us to venture into. I know that each of us have major platforms where we are leading and helping and serving people. I wanted to ask each of you, how do you use your platform, your brand, in order to encourage other people to do that thing that they are purposed to do, that they are called to do? How do you do that? How are you using your brand, your platform to encourage, to motivate, to inspire? Bishop?
Well, I think that the first step for me was to come to the understanding that social media and technical platforms are not toys, but tools.
Yeah.
And a tool can be used effectively, you know, a hammer, hammer, nail, nail, screwdriver, whatever. It's a tool that you can use to build something and to help something. And so once I came to the realization that this was not a toy, it's not a plaything, it's not so much about what we ate, where we went to, and a picture of a plate of food. We don't care what you drank for.
That's right.
You drank in the morning. That's not it.
That is so powerful.
And then I realized, so, you know, this really can be used as a tool to communicate. So when COVID hit, we spent a lot of time in those early days of February and March talking, you know, privately with people, pastors, leaders who were on the edge, who had to make very tough decisions. Do I close this church? Do I open the church? Do I send the people home to work from home? Do I let the kids go to school, or do we do some homeschooling? People were making very tough decisions, and some people were just absolutely overwhelmed. For some people, all right, this is a problem. Let's go. All right, we're in driver mode, and we're working 24/7 to try to handle what was happening that had never happened before. There was no book on this. There was no class you could take. There was no video about what to do. So people were writing the script as they were living it. And so what hit me was so many people were on the edge, hitting against the brick wall, that we need to provide something that will lift them and help them start today. So we started the Gratitude Project. And the Gratitude Project simply was helping people to identify before they talk to a human being, before they clicked on the computer, before they did anything else, be able to identify at least 3 things in their lives that they're grateful for that morning. Yes. And what we found is that once I embrace what I'm grateful for, that helps me to handle whatever pandemic is happening in my life. So that was the way we tried to use communications, and not just what I was grateful for, but other people who were going through the same thing. What are you grateful for? And that was encouraging to others. It was very simple. Didn't cost any money. It was just a way to encourage people who were wrestling with a crisis, with a pandemic. Do I have a job? Do I go to job? I'm an essential worker. My goodness. We honored the police, we honored the fire, we honored the ambulance drivers, but we did not honor the warehouse worker that keeps.
Yes.
We honored the garbage worker who still had to go pick up stuff.
Yes.
The postal worker that still had to deliver mail and not knowing what's on the mail because we were just learning about this disease, so we weren't quite sure how it was transmitted. So when you talk about that, it's a tool. And if the tool is handled properly,
yes, people. I am in total agreement. And I love the fact that you brought out about essential workers, postal workers, because everybody needs to know that they are loved, valued, appreciated, and celebrated. And that is a part of what we're talking about, the power of our words, the power of effective communication, the power of letting people know that they have a seed in this earth that matters. And I know, Kimberly, with your platform and words of encouragement that you give, I always go to your page to see what you're doing, what you have going on, because it's always something powerful and positive there. So I wanted to just ask, and I know I've asked this, but just to remind us that what I want to make sure that the audience knows who will listen to this is how you utilize your platform, your brand to encourage, motivate, and inspire others.
Yeah. So for me, when I am preparing to write a book or maybe even a shorter piece of work, or if I'm preparing for a speaking engagement to speak to a certain audience of women, I first pray for God to just pour into me the words and the ideas and the thoughts that he wants me to share as it relates to a particular audience. And for me, it is usually women because that's what my purpose centers around. And from there, I'm asking him to help me present it in a way that will help women, that it will help me serve them in the way that they need to be served. And I've also come to a point over these last few years of realizing that one of the best ways that I've been able to encourage women and help them is by sharing my own personal experiences in that process. And that doesn't mean just talking about some of the accomplishments and the successes that he has given me. Yes, that will inspire and hopefully motivate and encourage, but it is about even the mistakes that I've made in life and how I overcame them and how I became a better person, and some of the losses and things I had to go through to really become much closer with God than I had ever been. And even sharing some of the things I may have said years ago or did that I'm not proud of today, but those things have become very much a part of my testimony in helping women where they are right now. And so with this book, The Woman God Created You to Be, I've been very transparent in it. And I've received so many messages from women saying, this is where I am right now. And unfortunately, you've made me take a really long look at myself. And where I thought I was okay, I realized there's a lot of work I still need to do. And that's when I started to really realize, okay, you can encourage and motivate and inspire people, even by talking about some of the things that you're not so proud of. But again, it has become so much a part of your testimony.
Absolutely. And that ties into our conversation about how powerful our words are. Every single thing, every piece of what we have been discussing talks about the power of our words, the power of our thoughts, and how we utilize our words in order to help people change their lives, change our own lives. And I know, Bishop, with the Selah conference, I want to talk about that because it is about the power of words. And we talked about COVID and pivoting and shifting. And I know when I was introduced to Selah, it was a conference and it was on my vision board to be a part of this conference. And God bless me immensely to be one of these people that Bishop pours into. And I was honored to be a part of her panel, and I'm just so grateful. And I know that now with COVID, Bishop has shifted, and now we have Selah, the online edition. So Bishop, I want to ask if you would share about the Selah online edition, because everybody needs to know about it and everybody needs to be tuned in and be a part of it. So if you could share with us about Selah online edition, I would love it. And I know Kimberly would as well.
Yes, and y'all have to come and join the party. True.
Yes.
You come and join. Well, sure, you have to come and join the party again. And Kimberly, you got to come and join.
Oh my! I would be honored, just honored.
But what Selah is a Hebrew word that means pause, stop. And one translation is stop here before moving forward. So we wanted to create an opportunity, especially at the end of the year, for women just to stop and let's think about where we are and who we are and where we need to go, and dialogue with other women who have other experiences, so that they are feeding us and we're feeding each other to create a community more than creating a conference. That's what I call it. It's creating a community and not just a conference, so that we get to know each other, talk to each other, resource each other, and build each other up. That's the whole deal. Until when COVID hit and we could not have Sailor Atlanta, heart broke.
Yes, we were.
And then we realized we couldn't have Sailor in Dallas, heart broke.
Yes.
Then we went to the tool.
Yes.
And we developed Sailor the Home Edition. We started in June. We do 2 a month, and we started in June. And we've had some fabulous conversations about things we would not ordinarily have conversations about. And so what Sailor is, it's our way of helping women who may be stressed out, anxious, dealing with one issue after another, to be able to give them the tools to focus on what they want to do and need to do in a safe atmosphere. And so and that's it in a nutshell. So we hope that you will join us the 2nd and 4th Mondays of every month. Our next Sailor, of course, I think it's October the 12th, and then October the 28th. And then we're going to have Sailor, the main event, in November. So we would usually have a big Sailor in November, and we're going to have it. It's just going to be online. That's it.
Yeah.
Online. So maybe you guys come on and join us.
Yes.
For the main event at the end of the year. We have a fabulous good time. And I'm happy for the women who participate and those who support Sailor the Home Edition, and then later on the main event.
Bishop, I have enjoyed absolutely everything that you lay your hands to. Sailor in person, Sailor online, every book, because you truly are a sister that provides opportunities to help women soar. You always make yourself available, and we know that you are leading a productive and purposeful life. Notice I didn't say busy. I don't like the word busy.
That's right.
Productive and purposeful. And Kimberly, when we talk about pivot, and I think about your newest book and everything that you have going on with the book and some other amazing things that you have going, I want you to just share with us what inspired and encouraged you to do your latest book. And then I also want to ask this question and tie it in, because I know that somebody wants to know this. What made you believe that you could open your own publishing company to do your first book?
Yeah, so that's always a good question. And especially since, as I was saying earlier, I never aspired to write books. Even in junior high and high school and college, anything that related to writing, I thought more from a perspective of maybe journalism, writing for a newspaper, maybe being a TV anchor, writing scripts for news. And again, never thought about writing. So once I finished writing my book and submitted it to literary agents and was rejected by every single one of them, that sort of changed the scope of everything. And it was very disappointing. I was discouraged. I don't think at that point in my life, as young as I wasn't even thinking about the idea of being rejected by every single agent. And then ultimately from even editors at the publishing houses that I sent to. And so as I was ready to give up, literally had made my decision to. I had applied to a couple of MBA programs, was accepted by both of them, and chose one and enrolled in my first course. So I really was done. And my mom realized, oh, wow, she's really serious about quitting. And she said, I just don't think you should do that. We have been passing around copies of your manuscript to women here locally, and they're saying they enjoyed it. And she said, I don't know anything about the publishing industry, but I think that means something, and you shouldn't give up. But that was my mom, who was encouraging me from the time I was a toddler, telling me I could do anything. So if my book was awful, my mother I didn't believe she would ever tell me that. So I appreciated her and I was grateful for it. And then finally, my husband, Will, said, you have this background in business. Why can't you just start your own company and publish the book yourself? So that's how the whole idea of self-publishing came about. I purchased books, read them from cover to cover, studied them, figured, okay, this is something we can do. Will, as you know, Cheryl, borrowed money from his 401k account so that I could move forward with it. He ended up suggesting that I leave my job, and I did. And because of that, I have been writing full time ever since 1996. And so that was a journey I never counted on. But it's amazing what you can do if you step out on faith. You know, many times we will say we have faith in God and we trust him and we believe him. I was raised from a tiny little girl to do all of that. But when you really find yourself being consumed and crippled with fear and not stepping out, that's when you realize your faith is not what it really needs to be. And so when I finally was able to do that, I moved forward and things went well. The book began selling very quickly. And then I did go back to literary agents and found one to represent me, signed with a New York publishing house. And then now, you know, here we are today. But then, as you know, I've returned to self-publishing for my first nonfiction book. That's just what God led me to do. It wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. There's a lot more work involved when you self-publish, but I'm just following what he is guiding me and telling me to do. And I realize now that this is also another part of my testimony because it is encouraging so many writers to let them know if you are rejected, that's okay. You can still do this on your own if you need to.
Yes. I want to acknowledge this, Bishop, before I get to my last question. You and I were honored as a part of the Salute Her Soul series, and you received the Spirit Award, and I am the Champion of Change Award. And I was just so honored to be on that stage with you, to be in that room, knowing how you had just pushed and motivated and encouraged me. And I will never forget the morning that you called me and you said, Cheryl, you're one of the women that's supposed to be a part of this prayer during this time.
Yes.
You didn't even realize that that's what I needed at that time. And Kimberly, so many times you have texted me in the midst of not even knowing that. I just felt like, okay, I don't feel like doing this today. I am so tired of everybody having an opinion about every single thing that God is calling me to do. And both of you have said, Cheryl, go on. You can do it without even saying it. Without even saying it. I'll look at an old text that you and I have had, or I'll tune on to something that you're talking about, and it has pushed and motivated. So I know if I feel like that, I know that your voices, the power of your words going out today is going to help so many people. So as a result of knowing the power of your voices, I want to ask, what are you doing and what do you think we can do collectively to get out the vote in this? What are you doing, Kimberly, to get out the vote? And then Bishop, I want to just come right back to you and ask you, what are you doing? And then what do you think we can do together to get people to get out to vote?
So for me, I've been thinking about that a lot. Obviously now with us getting so close to November 3rd, and obviously with this unfortunate pandemic, we can't meet people in person as much as we would want to. And so thank God right now for social media. Bishop, you were talking about earlier, using it for the right reason. This is an opportunity for us to use social media to encourage people to exercise their right to vote and to let them know how important it is for us to vote, not just for our national candidates even, but also for the regional candidates, the state, the local. But yes, this is an opportunity for us to use social media in a very positive and very, very helpful way.
I agree absolutely that this is what we need to do. But, sometimes we have to be very specific with people to say, these are the things that you need to do. One, you have to register to vote and make sure that everybody within your circle of influence is registered to vote. You need to check and make sure you're still registered because rolls have been purged. you need to check to see what ID is required by the state or county that you're living in, and make sure that you have it. I say, well, I don't think I want to have to go do all of that. Yeah, you go through all of that.
Yes.
Yes. Go through all of that.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
If it says you need 4 pieces of ID, go get them, girl.
Yeah.
Just go get it. And then you're going to have to plan your vote. It's not like it used to be. We used to wake up on election day and then go for it on the way to work, on the way home, or at lunchtime. You're going to have to plan. Yes. And if you're in an area where it's early voting, go vote early. Just go vote early, and don't wait till the day and you wake up and there's snow on the ground, or it's raining heavily, or some big project emergency came up at work and you got to be at it all day. So go early, and then when you do vote, just know it's going to take a while. Be prepared to stand in line as long as necessary. Yeah. Take a snack with you, take a bottle of water with you, make friends with the person in front and behind you, and say, I have to go to the restroom, hold my spot, I'll be right back. You know, that's why I say you got to plan. You got plan your stuff. And if you walk with a cane, forget the ego and take the cane with you. Yes. Take the walker with you. Especially if you're going to have to be there as a child. Don't worry about none of that.
That's right.
The important thing is to vote. And if you vote by absentee ballot, then be acquainted with what your state requires you to do, and then do that. And if you're voting by absentee ballot, then call back and check and make sure it's there, to make sure that it has arrived, and it has arrived on time. So that's just a whole lot of stuff you have to do, but you can do it. Yeah. You can do it. Just think about all the stuff you have to do to get to work.
Exactly.
Hello.
Right. Exactly.
You know what? I got to get up. I got to eat. I got to make sure everybody else is fed. I got to pack lunch. I got to pack their lunch. Now I'm teaching children from school, or make sure that the college kids get out of their bedroom and get on what they have to do to take their courses. Make sure everybody takes exam. I have a 6-year-old granddaughter. I'm in the first grade all over again. I said, what? How did this happen? The first grade, And so when we talk, I said, Nina, about this fraction. I said, when did y'all start having fractions in the first grade? When did that happen? Yeah, you understand? Come along, So just like we have to go through all these other things to get stuff done, plan your vote, because you're going to have to go through all of those things to exercise your vote. And not to vote is a slap in the face of everybody who died so that you can vote.
Yes.
It's a slap in the face of everyone who was hurt, a slap in the face of the ancestors who couldn't.
Yes.
And so they made sure that we could. And so exercise your right to vote.
Yes.
This is where I would say, turn to the person in the square next to you.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Please vote. Make it a priority. We really need to make it a priority.
Absolutely. And I think, Bishop, I love what you just said, because with you and Kimberly both doing Zoom calls and those things, I think that's how we should end each one of the Zooms that we do. Turn to the person next to you and say, girl, go vote.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Or in the configuration where we are. As I look down at Kimberly and say,
that's right. It's depending on where you are. So that's great.
Telling people, make sure you vote. I have just thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, because that's what it is. It's all about us having a conversation. This wasn't an interview. This was 3 sisters coming together to share our hearts about the power of our word and how important our words really, really are in any and all situations. So I want to thank Bishop Vashti Murphy McKenzie, and New York Times best-selling author Kimberly Lawson Roby. These two women are my friends. They are my sisters. They are my midwives. They are helping me and so many women birth that thing that they're being called to do. And I am so grateful. So we want to thank each and every person for tuning in today who have been a part of the Salute Her Soul Sessions conversations with Cheryl Pelote Williamson, presented by AARP. I love you, my sisters, and I thank you for being my very special, special guest for us to have intimate conversations.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you.